Hi, everyone, and welcome back to this session of the Acting and Modeling Success Summit with Aaron Marcus. In this session, Aaron has a really special guest with us who's going to be talking about plus size modeling. Aaron?
Hey, thanks so much, Joel. Yeah, we've got Catherine Schuller, and I'm really excited about getting a chance to talk with her. She's a world-renowned plus-size model. She's done tons and tons of projects for companies like Saks Fifth Avenue. I'm looking at my little sheet here. Lane Bryant, Lord and Taylor. I mean, just to name a few. She also teaches at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York. She also does scouting and development for models, and we'll talk more about that later in case you would like to get in touch with her. So first of all, Catherine, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, Aaron. Good to be here.
Cool. So let's let everybody know. I mean, we've heard about plus size modeling, but most people really aren't sure what that means and what are the specific statistics that one needs to be a plus size model. So would you just explain that to everybody?
Yeah, and the fact is that just because you're 70 pounds over the insurance chart doesn't mean that you can plus size model, because the same criteria apply as the other aspects of the divisions of modeling. I call it the 5 Ps. You have to be pretty, you have to be photogenic, you have to be proportioned, you have to also have personality and perseverance. That's a big one too, because it's not just that you're a little larger than the average bear and everyone will embrace you into the industry. You really have to package yourself just as efficiently and as professionally as the straight size world.
And
Now the statistics are all over the map depending on the client, because it's very client driven, how they see their customers and then how they hire the model that matches that statistic, that criteria. But for the most part, the size is about 10 or 12 now that's getting the most work. 14s also can work, but it's a 14W, and that's different than the straight size sizes by 2 inches. So the kind of the way I like to think about it is that you've got to be proportioned, you've got to, like I said, but it's kind of almost like a 38-40 bust line, maybe a 35-36 waist, and then over 40 inches for the hip. So that's kind of the demarcation, the hip. Most models are between 43 and 45 inches in their hip.
and
So that's pretty much it. And they've got to be tall. They've got to be 5'9" and over.
five. So in that sense, it's similar to the straight fashion industry where,
Yeah.
girls and women are going to be 5'9" and taller. And does it work a very similar way where you're called in to a go-see for a specific client and they'll take Polaroid pictures or
Yeah, once you get to that stage.
I'm sorry, excuse me one second. I said Polaroid pictures. I'm kind of dating
Yeah,
myself here.
right.
I'm in a digital
Polaroid,
shot.
isn't that what
Sorry about that.
Polaroid polar bears take? No, it's pretty much the digital age now, Aaron. So welcome to the 21st century.
Sorry about that one. So, but is it this exact same kind of process?
Pretty much. You get a casting, you get someone who is going to call you in for a job, and you take your portfolio, because they still like to see a hard copy portfolio. That's the book that has your pictures in it. So they still like to see that. A lot of models are putting their portfolio on iPads, and they can show the agent or the casting director at the go-see their portfolio on an iPad. But there's something about that hard copy book that you still have to have. You still have to have that, and you need a comp card too. Same criteria that the straight size world has.
And 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 also, are most of the plus size models doing catalog work, or are they doing runway work, or everything?
Yeah, the bread and butter of the industry is catalog, but that now is the internet catalog. So it's not quite as much fun when I was doing it in the 80s because they would send you on location and you would have this fabulous loft in New York that you shot in for the day, or some fabulous studio, or they would send you away for a week on location. And now it's pretty much a seamless because the internet is all about the clothes. It's all about the way the clothes look. And a lot of frills have been cut out because of that. And a lot of websites are doing mannequins even. But I think the most successful websites have those clothes on the women who look like the customers. And I constantly tell the manufacturers do that because people respond to how it looks, how they. Some of them are even having video too, so that when you're getting jobs, you're expected to be able to move and not just be a static picture. So I know a lot of models are taking acting classes now and learning how to emote in front of the camera because it's like a mini movie. A lot of these catalogs are. So the bread and butter is still the catalog, but it's really evolved into um, moving video content.
I know this might sound a little bit silly, but I wonder, would it be helpful for a model attending a go-see which is the audition for models, to
Mhm.
actually ask if the client is there or the photographer, what type of women purchase these products. So that way, maybe she could have a little bit of a better sense of, who the market is and really portray certain kinds of emotions or attitudes that would really link themselves closer to, the
Yeah,
possible people purchasing.
that's a good point, Aaron, because it wouldn't even happen at the casting. If you're given, if the model knows that she's going to go up for Lane Bryant, she's going to dress pretty much like the Lane Bryant clothing line. She should actually wear something from Lane Bryant, and she should kind of have done the research about what this customer base is, so that before she even gets to the go-see, she's already done her hair and her makeup and she's wearing something that is very appropriate to that brand. So that's a good point.
And now, as far as like once you're actually on the set, I mean, do you spend an hour, 2 hours? Could it be an entire day putting on, tons of different types of wardrobe, for the
Well,
catalog?
the booking is usually uh a whole day, the booking can go. So I think, say a typical day, you would get there if it's a 9 o'clock call, you would get there at 9, and they get you into hair and makeup, and it takes a good couple hours to do that, or maybe even an hour and a half to get your hair set and your makeup done. Because once that's done, then they can start doing the wardrobe. And usually they have anywhere from 1 to 4 or 5 models at a time, and you're just rotating the clothes. So um, probably a day you probably wind up wearing 15 outfits, 12 outfits even. And they style them, they do group shots, they do single shots, whatever. And that's another thing that you have to learn how to react to other models on the set, have fun. They like this lively kind of repartee that the models have, that it's natural, easy, authentic. It's not stiff. So if you're working with other models, you really have to kind of relate to them and um, really bring out your acting chops, I think, too. But yeah, the clothing is anywhere from, if it's a whole day shoot, you could probably do a good dozen outfits as a model. So you're working
Well,
hard. I mean, you're exhausted by the end of the day. You've got to have stamina. That's why you've got to eat and rest and keep up a good workout regimen so that you have the stamina to take this business. Because I just did a job with this model. They sent us out to Long Island in a car service. She worked the entire day just by herself. She was exhausted and maybe she did 12 outfits, something like that. She was so tired. She slept the entire way back. And I said, it's really tough. It's tough, this
sure.
job.
Well,
It's
and
really
just like
exhausting.
well, just like you were saying, about one of the P's for personality, I would think that that's what's going to make the shot look interesting because, if you're just standing there like a model, there's really nothing interesting. It doesn't bring any life to the clothing, but you really can make the clothing look incredibly attractive.
Exactly. And even on the runway, same kind of thing. And I'll do a casting with somebody and I'll purposely put them in an outfit or a dress or whatever and have them go into the dressing room, come out and see how they look or feel in this dress. How do they emote? If they've been in jeans and a t-shirt and a blazer or whatever, then I give them this fancy frilly cocktail dress. I don't want them coming out in slouch socks and saying, "Well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you
Uh,
think? How does this dress make you feel?" Because you're the one that has to convey to the customer how she's going to feel when she buys it.
and so is there a lot a lot of runway work as well? I mean, is it more runway work than catalog work, or how does that
No,
work?
there's very, very, very little bit of runway, and that's one of the things I'm trying to change in the industry is that we don't have a runway uh, show that's like a Mercedes-Benz
So you
fashion
don't have
week.
a fashion week in New
No,
York or in
we
Paris.
have full figured fashion week, but it's in June, and it's not the high end designers that you would think, like Donna Karan and Michael Kors and Calvin Klein, who all have plus size lines, by the way, and they should be doing this. But there's this whole fantasy that yeah. It just kind of has to be a 4 or 6. It's on the runway, and the fact is that you're taking the money from these plus size customers. They need to see themselves in these clothes. And the first person who does that, the first designer who does that and breaks that ceiling and has a size 2 to 22 on the runway will make complete major headlines. I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to do is have a very high end prestigious runway show during fashion week when it really matters, when the fashion press are here. So I've been a veteran in the industry and I see the gaps now that exist, and it's like there's no magazine anymore. There's not an imprint magazine for plus size. It's all online. And Mode was the magazine that I was with for 4 years, and that just it doesn't exist anymore. It wasn't because the customer went away, but because we were underfunded and it got to be 4 million readers and they couldn't afford to have the whole the industry was like clamoring for it, and it couldn't sustain itself because of course it's expensive to have a magazine. It's like $50,000 a month to produce a magazine. So it's a dilemma. But this is a 60 it's like 63 million women in this country are plus size. This business generates $31.9 billion, and 99% of that is from apparel. So it's by no means a little tiny slice of the market. This is a huge market, no pun intended.
Now, where is the Fashion Week take place? Where does it take place? The one in June.
It takes place in New York. There's one in October in Los Angeles. They're doing one in Canada. So it takes place various locations. And unfortunately, it's been kind of in small venues, so that there's not a tent kind of environment where it's a week. It's mostly seminars and expos and expositions, and then a big runway show on a Saturday night. So that's what the week is. It's really not a week. It's more like 3 days.
So if somebody was interested in being a part of that Fashion Week, uh, do they have open calls, or how would somebody find out about that?
Yep, they have open calls. They have a website. It's Full Figured Fashion Week website, FFF Week. And you can go on the site and they'll tell you where they're doing the open castings. And it's around the United States. And then they actually bring some of the girls into New York in June to do the show.
And are there agents that will submit their models for that, or is that something that the models pretty much have to do on their own?
Yeah, the thing is that they don't. there's a kind of a discrepancy between what the agents want the girls to get paid, and so some of the models don't get paid and some do, and there's a big uproar about that. So the agents aren't submitting a lot for that Full Figured Fashion Week because everybody knows about it, so they just kind of consider that the models will find out about it because of the internet, because of word of mouth and the grapevine, and they'll include themselves in it. But a lot of the models on that runway are kind of newbies, so it's actually a good uh, way for a young model to get discovered. They have a face of that Full Figured Fashion Week, and it's its own little world. It doesn't even need the credibility or the stamp of approval of the agents in the industry. So not every agent has a plus size division either. There's only about 4 or 5 agencies, major agencies, who have divisions who are plus size. And so that's one of those things that it's kind of a misconception that every agency has a plus size division now. They really don't. They're specialties. They're kind of starting to really realize that there's a call for it, there's a need for it, so they're adding that in. But the only major divisions, the only major agencies that have those divisions are Ford, Wilhelmina, um, uh, Click has a division, and then there are other model agencies that are just dedicated to the plus size woman. There's IPM, Flaunt has one, True Beauty. Oh yeah, that's what it is, True Beauty. They just called me. They haven't. They're starting a division. So there are about 4 or 5 of them that have divisions within the New York region.
But I would assume that a lot of agents at least would like to be able to have plus size models in their roster, even if they don't have a separate division, so that if a call does come in or when the call does come in, they have the talent to be able to send out.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I started Model Maker Mentors, is because those models have to be turnkey and ready to go out, and they are not going to be accepted by an agency unless they have all the tools of the trade in their hair and their makeup. They understand what it takes to have a shoe bag and all that. They have to be absolutely quote unquote camera ready. So that's one of the reasons why I created this mentor program that I do, and it helps them be able to have models on their roster who are absolutely polished to perfection, because they don't have any time for model development these days.
Well, actually, and I want to ask you a couple questions about that in 1 second, but just to make sure I fit this in, if there's somebody who thinks they could be doing plus size modeling and they would like to, really have an expert help them out with it, how do they go about reaching you?
Well, they can reach me via email, and it would be Catherine, Catherine, at modelmakermentors.com. And that goes right into my personal email, and I check it and I answer all my emails. Don't call me even if you can find my number, because I have my number somewhere on the internet. I don't know how people find it, but that being said, if you really want to, get in my good graces, just send me a great email.
Hey, and I can tell you, just on a little bit of a side note, no, not only with you, Catherine, but just people in general, when they make it very clear as to how they want to be contacted, make sure you follow their requests, because people will. I mean, they've told me millions of
Yeah.
times, if you can't follow some of my basic requests, there's no way that I'd be interested in working with you. But just to kind of get back though, so for somebody who thinks they might have the right kind of look, what exactly, and we have to do this kind of quickly and then we're going to
Mhm.
wrap up and then go to questions, but just in general, what kind of things does somebody need to be able to have and offer in order to seriously be considered as a plus size model?
Well, the height definitely you must be over 5'9", and
And can you
you
be
have to
over
be.
6 feet, or is it 5'9" to
There are a
6 feet?
few girls that are working at 6'1", but that they want you to be able to put on clothes right off the rack, and they fit you. And sometimes the 6'1" model has longer arms. Sometimes her the pants are going to be kind of short on her. So anywhere between 5'10" and 6 foot is perfect. You don't need a shoe size per se, because we tend to pull shoes from wherever, and the model needs a really good shoe bag too, if she's going to tackle this, because there are no brands who give shoes to runway shows now, or they if they have shoes at this on the set, they'll get them for the model, and they'll have her sizes ahead of time, and they'll have the shoe. But she really needs to um, understand what her look is, because clients hire you for a look you already have, not for one they give you. So this isn't a business about makeovers. This isn't, I'm going to show up and I'm going to get my hair and makeup done and I'm going to look fabulous then. You have to walk in almost camera ready, picture perfect. Your skin, your hair, your nails, your body has to be toned. You have to look like you slept and you're hydrated. So that's one of the misconceptions, is that this whole business is like, oh, well, I'll just show up and they're going to make me look fabulous. So, ladies, if you're considering this profession, understand what your style is. I say style is being yourself on purpose. So find out what your purpose is, find out what your look is, and then figure out how you're going to show up consistently each time. And then you're going to do your test shots in your book that are going to be a little bit outside the box, maybe a little bit trendy, a little bit more fashion forward, but you yourself have to either be natural sporty, traditional elegant, romantic charming, dramatic alluring, creative artistic. And if you don't know what that is, just call me, because I have a whole foolproof way of you being able to package yourself and understanding who you are, and then being able to tweak it a little bit for the jobs that you're going to be
Well,
up
actually,
for.
don't call you, but email you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you, Erin. So
Okay.
you listen. You
I
listen.
do
That's
listen.
why
I
you're.
take directions very well.
That's
Hey,
why you
Catherine, listen.
take directions so well.
I know we have to wrap this up, so I wanted to ask Joel if we have any questions for Catherine.
Absolutely. Let me jump right into these so we get to as many as possible. Sue from Memphis, Tennessee says, do most commercial modeling agencies also represent plus size models?
Uh, like Aaron was saying, they try and keep a few because they get calls, but you need to find out which of the agencies have plus size modeling agencies if you're going to submit to them, because they'll be the ones who understand the look, the packaging, the whole promotional aspect of the plus size industry, and they're the ones who are going to probably get the regular jobs. And I think ModelSmart has a directory of casting directory that you can get, and it lists everyone in the entire United States, and whether they do men, women, kids, plus, and that's the thing to really do your research on, and then submit. And you just have to submit a Polaroid, really. If you're in Memphis, you don't have to go and get a whole, glamour shot beauty portfolio. Don't waste your money on that. If you have a great snapshot or a JPEG of even, send them an Instagram. They can see, believe me, they can see if you have the potential.
Yeah, I mean, what I find is that the best thing to do is just go to the agent's website and see how they want you to submit to them.
Yeah.
And yeah, if it's sending a digital JPEG, great. They might ask for a hard copy. They might want to see you in person. So just like with not calling Catherine, follow the instructions of the agent as to how they want you to contact them.
And it's usually simple. KISS. Keep it simple.
Okay.
This question is from Birmingham, Alabama. This is from Arlene. Is there work for plus size models in other markets or just mostly in New York?
Good question, Arlene. I'm glad you asked that. There is, but it's not as prevalent, and you have to really, it's kind of like a needle in a haystack. You really have to look for it, and you have to market yourself. A lot of the ways that I tell models is to get work is to go to the department stores, because they don't normally fly women in from New York or the major markets. They hire locally. So they'll do those fashion shows or whatever, and you can actually be considered for that. But you do need a good comp card, and you need to professionally package yourself as finely as you can before you go in and before you send a cover letter, and call the store and see what their policy is, because maybe it is the Saks Fifth Avenue and they do have a show coming up, and they're going to fly models in from New York. So you have to find out if they hire locally. But for the most part, what I tell models who I think have potential is come to New York for 3 months and try it out. Or go see it, come for a week or a week and a half, 2 weeks, go see some agents and get some feedback, and then you know what you need to work on, because it's kind of like stabbing in the dark and throwing a dart at a dartboard that you don't even know where it is. You have to understand what the market is. And if you come to New York, they have open calls for 2 or 3 hours every week, and models come in and they go to the agencies and they get feedback. You know, go fix your teeth, go cut your hair, do this, do that, and then you can work on yourself. Because some models, it actually takes them 6 months to a year to get signed by an agent. Once they're seen, they see the potential, and then you don't have to waste your time. And then you can come to somebody like me who helps you develop what it is they told you to do, because they're still scratching their head about that.
Catherine, thank you so much. We're just about out of time. We need to take a quick couple minute break here between sessions, but this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, Catherine, I really appreciate it. Thanks. Hope to see you soon.
See you.
All right.
Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, we're going to take a couple minute break here on the Acting and Modeling Success Summit with Erin Marcus, and we'll be back in just a few moments. So thanks, Catherine. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, guys.